Welcome to Live DAF, your online DAF Yomi Shir.
Shalom Aleichem and welcome back to today's DAF Hayomi Maseches Bava Metzia DAF Nun Ches. We are holding on Nun Zayin Amud Beis, 2 lines off the bottom of the Amud. Shomer Chinaim Einoi Nishba. So we learned that with respect to property or items belonging to the Beis Hamikdash, to Hekdesh, these are not subject to many halachas. Oina'ah, ribis. A shomer Chinaim, a fellow who is entrusted with the task of guarding these items, he will never have to make a shvuah. Typically, a shomer chinam who's watching, something free of charge, will have to at least, confirm through a shvuah that he was not negligent in causing, whatever loss it was. But when it pertains to hekdesh proper, you don't have to make that type of shvuah. So the halachas, the standard halachas of shomer chinam, of shomer sachar, we'll see in a minute, do not apply. Asks the Gemara, really? A shomer chinam is not obligated to make a shvuah, to verify his innocence. V'raminu, we have a kasha from a Mishnah in Maseches Shekolim. B'nei Hoyer. So you have these fellows in town who decided to send their machzis hashekel, right? That you send once a year to the Beis Hamikdash to fund the karbanos. B'nei Hoyer shesholchu es shiklein. They sent off their money, their machzis hashekel coins, with a courier. And midway, it was stolen, it was lost, and it never arrived at the Beis Hamikdash. It never, came to the treasury. So what happens now? You see, what happens after a couple of months in the Beis Hamikdash, they would actually do teruma. So it was 3 times a year actually, where they would do teruma. They would take away, separate some of the coins and use it for the karbanos, and that was sort of a representation of the entire fund. So that's called like a truma, like you take from a crop. So trumas halishka, likewise, was an amount of coins that they would remove from the treasury, from the machzah shekel chamber, and they would use that for the karbanos. That would sort of represent all the coins. And now it's considered as though everybody actually has a part in funding the karbanos. So when did these coins get lost or stolen? If by the time they came to din to deal with it, it's already after Trumas Halishka had been executed. So now the halacha is that the owners, the fellows who sent the money, are exempt. They're patur, although their money never arrived at the Beis Hamikdash. Rashi brings, based on the Gemara later, that termin al ha'avad, when they do the truma, they have everything in mind, even whether the coins that had already arrived, that are here, and they even have in mind coins which have not yet arrived. They might see those coins as well, and they're sort of incorporated into the process. And those fellows will now have a part in the karbanos tzibur, despite the fact that their actual coins never arrived. Okay, so bottom line is, at this point, the owner will not have to send another coin, right? And the loss is now, all hekdesh is lost. The hekdesh will not get this money. So the shliach, the fellow who was entrusted with delivering these coins, will have to make a shvuah, right, to prove his innocence, that he was not pesheya, he was not negligent. Who does he have to direct his shvuah to? Who's he trying to, confirm to? Who does he owe it to? Nishban legizbar. They make a shvuah to the treasurers of the Beis Hamikdash, because the loss will be on them. On the gizbar, the Beis Hamikdash will no longer get this money. So they're obligated to, to clarify the facts with a shvuah, and they must do so to the gizbarin in the Beis Hamikdash who are actually going to experience this loss. Bimlav, otherwise, suppose they discovered that it was lost or stolen before a Trumas Halishka took place. So at this point, Trumas Halishka will not exempt them anymore, unless they send more, more coins later on. So basically, now the Bnei Ha'ir, the original owners, have to resend their Machzas HaShekel. So they're going to be absorbing the loss. So now the Shliach, or the Shluchim, Lashon Rabbim here, they will have to make a Shvuah to whom? Who do they owe this verification? To the owners, to Bnei Ha'ir. V'imlav nishboin l'Bnei Ha'ir, u'Bnei Ha'ir, and in fact those people have to send another batch of Machzas HaShekel coins, Sheklin Acherim Tachtein. Now, Nimtzu Oy Shechzur Maganavim, turns out that they track down the money, or the Ganavim return them, and now we have two batches of coins. The original ones that were lost are now discovered, and the second batch, which was sent afterwards to compensate for the first ones, Elu ve'elu shkolim hem, they both have a status of Machzas HaShekel, they're both Kadosh. Rashi says, that's it, Kivun, the Kadosh, once it achieved Kedusha, it maintains it. So we have two batches now, ve'ein oilin lahem l'shana haba, but don't think that it can count towards next year. They have no credit towards next year. Next year is a brand new slate, a brand new Machzas HaShekel. Bottom line is, what do we see? Even though we're speaking about Machzas HaShekels, which are Hegdish property, still the Shliach, who we assume is a Shem Chinam, he's doing it free of charge, he has to ascertain his innocence by making a Shvuah. That's a kasha on the Mishnah, which says that there's no Shem Chinam making a Shvuah when it's an issue pertaining to Hegdish. Omar Shmuel Hocha b'nei Sachar Askinan. We're speaking about a fellow, a courier, who is being paid a fee to deliver this money. And the reason why he's swearing is not to exempt himself, is not to confirm his innocence. No, that's not the point. The point is he wants to get paid for the job. Right? So he's just trying to get his money. So even without a shvuah, he would be pater. He doesn't have to verify his innocence with a shvuah. That doesn't apply to Hegdish. But if he wants to get paid for the job, he must verify the facts through a shvuah. Right? Because, again, Asher Mechinim will not have to make a shvuah to exempt himself from carelessness. Asher Sachar will not have to make a shvuah to exempt himself. Asher Sachar will not have to pay if an item was lost or stolen. All these rules and laws and obligations that apply to a typical shomer do not apply by Hegdish. Again, the point of the shvuah is simply, in this case, is simply so that he can extract his fee. Look, what happened? Tell me what happened. Well, it was stolen. Prove that it was stolen, and he has to make a shvuah, and now he'll get his money. Asks the Gemara, okay, so who are they directing their claim to? To the senders, to the owners. Yachi nishboin legizbarin. So why does the Mishnah say that in some cases they make a shvuah to the treasurers? Treasurers aren't their employers; they're not paying them anything. They should be making a shvuah to the owners, to the people who sent the money, who owe them this fee. Amar Rabbi, you're right. Nishboy l'bnei ha'ir. True. Of course, the shvuah is directed to the bnei ha'ir, right? So that they pay, that they to get them to pay the fee to the shomer. But mamad gizbarin. But in some cases, it has to be done in the presence of the treasurers, right? So in that case, where we said the Beis Hamikdash is ending up on the downside, is absorbing this loss. So the treasurers should be around; they should be there, witnessing the shvuah. So of course, they're not obligated to make a shvuah to the gizbaron, as we said. They're making a shvuah simply to the owners. Pay up what they're asking for their fee for delivering or trying to deliver the goods. And in order to get that, they have to swear to confirm the story. But they do it in the presence of the treasurers of the Beis Hamikdash, so that they can see for themselves. So that the Gizbar can see for himself that these people are honest, so that the treasurers do not suspect these fellows of stealing. Likewise, we want them to make the shvuah to confirm the story, so that they don't accuse the shomer of being a pesheya, being careless. Asks the Gemara, hold it. So you're telling me that this fellow is a shomer sachar. He'd like to get paid for the job, and that's the only reason why he's making a shvuah, to confirm the story and to compel the fellow to pay him for the job. Look, what happened here? he claims that it was stolen. He claims that it was lost. And typically, a shemer sachar has a heightened sense of obligation, right? Because he's getting paid. He's responsible even for lost or stolen items. So now, in our case, where he's involved in hegdish, you're right. V'hacha nami nehida shlumi lemishami. True. In this case, since he's involved in watching hegdish, he won't have to pay out. The shemer sachar will not be obligated to pay out for this type of loss. Okay, he's exempt from that. But, at least let him forfeit, let him lose his salary. V'agrayu milafsid. I mean, if he's meant to watch it, and it was stolen, it was lost, fine, you're not compelling him to pay for that loss, but how can he turn around and ask for a salary, ask to get paid for the job that he didn't do? Amar Rabba, it was an accident beyond his control. It's an oinus. So although we speak about nignavu, stolen, we don't mean a standard, robbery. But listen, mezuyan, he was attacked by armed robbers. That's an oinus. And even Hashem Sachar's responsibility doesn't stretch that far, so he's entitled to his pay. Or the case of Avdu, lost, doesn't mean he just dropped down the street. His ship sunk at sea. That's beyond his control. So basically, we had a kasha, because the Mishnah says that the standard laws of Shomrim do not apply to Hegdish-related jobs. So why do the couriers have to make a shvua if they lost the machzah shekels? So according to Shmuel, because we're speaking that he's demanding his fee for the job, and he has to make a shvua to confirm that in fact, these were circumstances beyond his control. Rabbi Yechon Omar, I'll give you another way to explain this Mishnah. Hamani Rab Shimoni. This Mishnah follows the opinion of Rab Shimon. The Omar Kachem Shechai Bechar Yusan Yeshlan Aina V'Nishboin Aleim. We learned this the other day, right? He holds that, not all Hegdish is created equal. There are some cases, like a korban that you're Chai Bechar Yusan, or the Machzah Shekel that you're responsible for. If you're responsible for it, until it's actually brought to the Beis HaMikdash, etc., until that point, you still identify with it. It still relates to you. You still have to look after it. So now it's considered almost like private property. So although technically it's Kaddish, but since you're responsible for it, so it's part of your, it's considered like your belongings, and the standard halachis, like oina'ah, right, the halachas of cheating, and the halachas of shavua, the shomrim, all that apply as well. So here by a machzas shekel, where the owner is certainly responsible to look after it, right, until it arrives in the Beis HaMikdash, it's called kachem shechai b'char yusan, and therefore all these standard, halachas and the shomrim systems kick in. Okay, that's all good and well. Before they did the trumas halishka, like we said before, in which case, at that early point, if it goes missing, the owner has to send another one, so he's called chayav b'char yusan. But mishenitru hatruma, but once the trumas halishka had been executed, so at that point, everybody's exempt. As soon as as long as I wanted to send, I did send, right? Everybody's sort of included in that system, and they're no longer responsible for their machzas shekels, even if they haven't yet arrived. So now we're back to square one. So now it's your standard kachem. You're not responsible for it, so it's exempt from halachos of shmira, of shvua and all that. The sanyas, we went to the brayso, terminala ovid vela govoy, right? When they did trumas halishka in the Beis HaMikdash, they have everybody in mind. Things that got lost on the way, vela govoy, things that are going to be collected soon. That people plan on sending, right? Things that were already collected and are en route. That's govoy, vela osad ligvois, and coins which are about going to be collected later on throughout the year. So bottom line is everything is incorporated into the system, and once you're incorporated, you're exempt, even if your item gets lost or stolen. Says the Gemara, you know what? Let's go back to basics. This courier is a shomer chinam, and he lost it, right, or got stolen en route to the Beis HaMikdash. And he's making a shvua to the owner. Look, I'm sorry, I lost it. I tried my best. I wasn't careless. I wasn't negligent. So the question was, what do you mean? The Mishnah says that the Shem Rechinam will not make a shvua if it's hegdish related material. Elam Rabbi Lazar, shvua zu. This is not a standard shvua min Torah which applies to us typical Shomer Chinam. No, Shvuah zu Takonas Chachamim, it's a special Takana. That unless he makes this Shvuah, he has to pay out. Why? Shelo yu bnei adam mezalzel be'kdeshes. This is in order to ensure that people are extra careful and conscientious when dealing with Hegdish property. Right? Because, otherwise, if you're not going to hold a Shomer accountable, then, it's going to lead to just laxness and negligence, and, people are not going to feel they have to be accountable for it. So, basically, to hold people accountable, you have to sort of apply a shvuah, not minat Torah. That's that doesn't apply, but with Rabbanan we do apply a shvuah, and that explains the Mishnah in Shkolim why the couriers have to make a shvuah. So bottom line, the Mishnah says Shomer Chinam will not make a shvuah for Hegdish. So why in the Mishnah in Shkolim do we find a shvuah? So either we're speaking about a Shomer Sachar who's just swearing to get his fee, his salary, or we go with Reb Shimon that when it's a kachim shechai b'char yusan like Shkolim, which in some cases you're responsible for, that's considered like a privately owned possession, which conforms to all the halachos of Shmira. Or finally, we have the opinion of Rabbi Lazar that it's merely a takanas chachamim to hold people accountable for Hegdish material. Okay, the next item in the Mishnah is a noisa sachar, a fellow who's guarding something for pay. Eina mishalem. If something goes wrong there, it gets stolen, it gets lost. So typically, a Shomer Sachar has to pay for that, but not when it's Hegdish related material. Rami le Rabbi Yosef Bar Choma, he has to kasha le Rabbi. Tanan, we have a Mishnah in Bava Metzia by us. Noisa Sachar in Mishal, correct? V'ramini, here comes a kasha from a Bryce. Hasoich or Sapoil. Let's say the Hegdish representative hires workers. Lishmar Sapara, to guard the Paraduma. Lishmar Satinov, to guard the children that were involved in. They used to have special kids that were raised with Tahara to be involved in the process of the Paraduma, so he's babysitting them. Lishmar Sazroim, or he has somebody watching the new crop, which is going to be used for the Minchas Ha'omer. Or Rashi says if it's on Shemitah, we need somebody to watch over some wild growth that's going to be used for the Omer Shtei Alechem. So bottom line is all these Hegdish employees. Right? Ein noisen l'shchar Shabbos. We can't pay him for working on Shabbos, right? Lefichach ein achrayis Shabbos Allah. We could pay him for the weekday work, but we have to skip the Shabbos salary, and by extension, the worker is no longer responsible for if anything happens on Shabbos because he's not getting paid for Shabbos. But hoya schar Shabbos. But there are some cases where you can pay him for Shabbos as well, if it's sort of included. If it's not paid, separately for Shabbos, not itemized for Shabbos, it's just sort of included in a weekly salary. Schir Shabbos is being, hired for the whole week. In the previous case, he was hired on a daily basis, so you can't pay him separately for Shabbos. But let's say it's a weekly salary, or Schir Chodesh, a monthly salary, Schir Shana, a yearly, annual, Schir Shavua, a 7-year salary. So now it could sort of include Shabbos as well, and you can pay him for Shabbos behavla'a, it's called, as long as it's not highlighted separately. Shabbos. And in that case, since he's a hired hand for Shabbos too, he's responsible fully, even for things that happen on Shabbos. Lefichach achrayus Shabbos olav. Okay, bottom line, what do you mean he's responsible? What happens if something goes wrong? My love, so we're assuming it means l'shalom, he has to pay for it. There you go. Shomer Sachar has to pay Hegdish for any losses. No, of course he doesn't have to pay for losses. It just means that if something happens, he forfeits his salary because he's getting paid, to keep a higher standard, to guard from robberies, etc. But if he didn't do his job, he doesn't get paid. If that's what the Brisa means, that he's liable to lose his salary. So let's go back to the first part of this Brisa. He's getting a daily salary. You can't pay him for Shabbos, so he's not responsible for Shabbos. What does that mean? He's not responsible. He's not responsible in the sense that he doesn't lose his salary. That's what the Brisa means to say, according to your approach. He's never responsible to the extent that he has to pay. It just means to say that he has to forfeit his salary. So in the Reisha, he's not getting paid special for Shabbos, so he doesn't have to forfeit his salary. Well, he's not getting paid. What do you mean? He's not going to forfeit, right? He doesn't have schar Shabbos. It says, we don't pay him for Shabbos. He's not going to give up. Ishtik. So he remained silent. This was a good kasha. Amalei, so Rabbi responded, Midi shmiel lecha baha. Okay, do you have anything to say? Do you have anything to explain this brisa? Amalei. So he says, yeah, actually, Hachi Amar Rav Sheshis. Rav Sheshis explained that although typically a Shemer Sachar is not responsible for Hegdish, but here we're speaking B'Shekano Miyadeh. He made a special personal kinyan. He personally committed to looking after the item, and if something happens, he'll have to pay for it. So here, it's a special, he submitted himself and he's specially committing himself to the cause. It's above and beyond the standard shomer responsibility. Likewise, Rabbi Yehuda said, we're speaking about an exceptional case, so here, in fact, he's responsible, and if anything goes wrong, he has to pay for it. That's only because he made that special personal commitment, but typically a Shemer Sachar involved in Hegdish will not be responsible, even for Gneva Vavid. Reb Shimon Omer, Kachem Shechai B'Achar Yuson, Yesh Len Hayno, V'She'eno Yechai B'Achar Yuson, Ein Len Hayno. So we learned this before. According to Reb Shimon, we differentiate. Although Hayno does not apply to Hegdish, but if it's a personal Hegdish which you're personally looking after, and you're personally responsible for, that takes on a new type of identity, and we treat it like privately owned possessions. Tani Tana, there was a Chacham who presented a brisa to Rabbi Yitzchak bar Abba. Quote, Kachem Shechai B'Achar Yuson. So this is seemingly in line with Rav Shimon, who makes that differentiation between different types of Hegdish. Right? More personal Hegdishes takes on that personal dimension, whereas more heavenly Hegdish, meaning Hegdish which I'm not responsible for, is deemed, heavenly, part of the heavenly domain, in which case it's not subject to the standard halachas of Ayno, etc. So we have a brisa like this. Kachem Shechai B'Achar Yuson, those karbonos which I'm responsible for, chayev. So in this case, I'm chayev. What does chayev mean? So actually, it's going on a case where, let's say, a shomer. Yeah, so a shomer has this thing, and then you approach him for your thing. He says, "Oh, what are you talking about?" He denies ever having it. He made a shvuah and then he admits. So the halach is he has to bring a korban asham, etc., etc. Right? So it only applies to privately owned belongings, but not to hegdish. So when it comes to a korban, right? Kachem shechai b'achar yuson chayav. So the halachas of korban shvuah apply there as well. Why? Shani korban, because I can apply to them the pasuk which says b'Hashem v'kichish. That even though it's a sort of a spiritual thing b'Hashem, but if v'kichish he denied. His denial pertains to something which is b'Hashem, even this type of korban, then the system kicks in and it's chai b'korban shvuah. But a standard, a korban which I'm not responsible for, potter. So we do not apply the whole system of korban shvuah. Why? Shani korban, because I apply the other pasuk b'amita v'kichish, that it's b'amita, it's your friend's items, and denial on that does not trigger the system of the korban shvuah. Now it sounds like, if anything, it should be the other way around, right? So he says, Amalei klapa laya. Which direction are we going with? Meaning, I don't understand this price. If anything, everything should be reversed. Why? What does he mean? So let's look at Rashi over here on top. Whatever he's saying seems to be, should be reversed. Why? What did he say? He said that a korban that I'm responsible for is called B'Hashem. If anything, just the opposite. A kachim which I'm responsible for is less B'Hashem, is more personal. And then he says a korban that I'm not responsible for is called, personal belongings. If anything, the other way around. If I'm not responsible for it, so it's more about Hashem. So first of all, the wording should be switched. Right? So that's first of all. And also, when it comes to the halacha, if anything, reason goes the other way. Reason dictates that, right? right? So the first is the first point. In terms of the wording, if you're trying to apply chiyuv to something which is gavaya, something which is more hegdish, to exempt something which is more personal, the Brisa should have presented it differently. Something which I'm responsible for is potter because it's called ba'mita, it's personal. But something which I'm not responsible for is considered more in the hegdish domain, so it's chayiv shani karev b'Hashem v'kichesh because Hashem v'kichesh applies. So the wording seems to be mistaken. Number one. Number two, in terms of logic, let's think of this svara. The head is havli l'chayuv etfei. If anything, something which is more personal should generate more chiyuv. The hashomre hekdesh is ptur min hashvua umukol habal yada, because we just learned that the halachas of shmira do not apply to hekdesh. So if anything goes the other way around, why are you applying more chiyuv to something which is more carbon and applying less chiyuv to something which is less carbon? If anything goes the other way around, the more personal it is, the more private it is, the more chiyuv it has regarding shmira and carbon shvua, right? Ivcham is tam. Okay, so let's go back to the Gemara on the top line. Amalei, so he responded, Ismai, okay, it's pretty strong kasha. Should I just delete the whole brisa? It's an inaccurate brisa. Amalei, he says, light. No, I can reanalyze the brisa and rearrange it. Lo yachai kama. He means like this: Kachem shechai b'char yusan chayev. A carbon which I'm responsible for, right? So the halachas of v'kichesh and carbon shvo do apply. You know why? The israbu me b'Hashem v'kichesh. Because although the halachas of shmira are specific to privately owned belongings, private possessions, and this has an element of hegdish to it, it's a carbon, but since I'm chai b'char yusay, it identifies with its owner. There's an element of privacy here as well. And although it's not completely private, but the israbu me b'Hashem v'kichesh. The pasuk uses the word b'Hashem, right? So the pasuk reads, Nefesh ki sechta u'mal amal b'Hashem v'kichesh b'amitay. So v'kichesh is the denial process, b'amitay, against your friend, but the fact that the pasuk adds the word b'Hashem, that indicates to us that even if it has an element of b'Hashem, an element of carbon to it, it's still included in the parsha, and you have to do the carbon shvur and all that, because at the end of the day, it is my thing, because I'm chai b'char yusay. It's enough mine to be included. V'she'ena chai b'char yusan patur, but something which I'm not responsible for, right? A carbon which is totally out of my hands, I'm patur from the halachas of carbon shvur and all that, because it's excluded, right? We apply the pasuk b'amita and we say no, it doesn't apply here. We try to apply and we say it doesn't work because it's not b'amita, because it's a carbon totally out of my hands. So you rework the brisa in a way that now really is readily understood. All the brisa meant to say was that kachim that are not chai b'achrayis is totally Hashem's, and therefore the phrase ba'amita v'kichesh is not applicable. It's not privately owned, whereas a carbon which I'm chai b'achrayis is considered enough mine, and despite the fact that it is a carbon, well, ba'ashem v'kichesh includes that as well. Rabbi Yehuda, let's go back to Oina. A person overcharges by a significant amount, right? So the person can now reclaim that, that amount. Rabbi Yehuda af hamoich Tanya. Rabbi Yehuda af hamoicher sevatera margolis ubehema ein lemoina. Just as Oina does not apply to hegdish and to karka, it doesn't apply to the following items: a sefer Torah that was purchased, a diamond, or an animal. Okay, so even if you overpaid, it's a done deal. You have no claim. So why? Why are these things different? Tanya, Rabbi Yehuda af hamoicher sefer Torah ein lo Oina. You know why? There's no, it's priceless, right? So whatever you pay for it is considered fair. The same with a behema margolis. You know why? Sometimes a person is willing to pay extra. Let's say he has, one animal, in the farm and he wants to pair it up with this other animal to work together. So you need a very specific type of animal. You need a good shidduch. So he's willing to pay extra if he finds an appropriate animal. Same thing with a diamond. He needs, to fill in a missing, spot on the ring. It's got to match with the rest. So it's priced. He's going to pay extra to get a perfect match. So he's submitting himself to it willingly, and it's not called. He's not being defrauded. Amr Lois, the Chacham responded. You can say that with everything. Whatever a person buys, he buys a car. Maybe he's trying to match it up with his other car, right? This concept of matching up can apply to anything. And still we see that I know it does apply. Rabbi Yehuda, he responds, no, these are still different. Truthfully, in theory, it can apply to anything, but, when it comes to behema, margolis, which are things that are very chashiv, so there we say a person is willingly submitting himself even to a higher price, and there's no inoah factor. Now, is there a limit to this? I mean, how much do you expect him to pay, and still be considered fair? Until double the price. Tanya, we have another exception to the rule as well. Things which a person is willing to pay unlimited amount. Let's say a person's in the middle of a war, middle of battle, and somebody sells him a horse which he needs for battle, a sayif, or a sword, a shield, middle of the of war. I know does not apply. Whatever he paid is considered fair value because it's there to protect his life. He's willing to pay whatever it is to get it. Says the Mishnah, you should know just like there are halachas of being fair when it comes to transactions. Likewise, there is halachas of I know when it comes to verbal conversations. A person must be careful not to hurt somebody's feelings verbally. And some of these are commerce-related interactions. A person should not approach a merchant with a question. How much he's selling this item for? Which sounds like he's interested. And he has no intention of buying it. So he's getting him all excited for naught. Or he's by interacting with the merchant, other prospective buyers will just walk away thinking that it's been committed. So bottom line is, we have this honesty with dvarim as well. Right? So a person has to be sensitive with his words regarding a merchant, regarding a Baal Tshuva, right? A person should not approach a Baal Tshuva and start asking about his history. Look, you remember you used to do this and that? That's unfair to him. Let's say he's a descendant of converts. He should not relate back to his ancestors. He shouldn't be telling him about his ancestors. Oh, do you remember what your parents did? They were goyim. Shenamar, the pasuk says, be careful not to hurt and not to insult a ger. So what does this mean? In this context, the Torah is telling you not monetary related, rather word related. Right? So you should not use insulting or hurtful words. So you're telling me that this pasuk refers to verbal ayna. No, maybe it's going on monetary ayna, overcharging, etc. But we have another pasuk for that. So over there it says, so aynas mamin is already covered by that pasuk. So what does the pasuk mean? To include even verbal insensitivities. For instance, right? So we have a similar case as the Mishnah. If he was about tshuva, he should not relate back to his errant ways. If he was a descendant of Gerim, should not relate to his parents' ways. If he himself was a convert, he's coming to the shiva to learn, he shouldn't be telling him, what do you have to do with Torah? A mouth that consumed all kinds of non-kosher items. How do you have the audacity to come learn Torah, the holy Torah, which was expressed by Hashem? Likewise, if you see a fellow having a hard life, he he has sicknesses, or he's losing his children. You shouldn't be giving him musr and say, oh yeah, I know why it's coming, because you did this and that. You have no, that's not your place. You shouldn't emulate Eiv's so-called friends who pointed out his fallacies when he was having a hard time. What do you think? If you were squeaky clean, you would be going through this? That's forbidden. You're not allowed to do that. You have to empathize and hold his hand and comfort him. You have no business hurting his feelings. Another couple examples of being sensitive in terms of words. Okay, these donkey drivers, these dealers, approach him for some grain. You shouldn't send them to this person. You shouldn't tell them to go to this other person who will sell you some grain. It's just a prank. He knows that fellow never touched a piece of wheat. Right? That's not fair. Likewise, a person should not set his eyes on an item in a store when he has no money, he has no plan of buying it, because the owner will now be excited for nothing. And the truth is, all this discussion is very personal and private. A person can fool himself and can fool others. Something which is embedded in your heart, which only you and Hashem know. That's what the pasuk says on it. Have fear from Hashem, because only Hashem knows really what his intentions are. If he's really trying to buy it, or he's not really planning on buying it, right? So that's why the pasuk stipulates specifically when it comes to Oinas Devarim. Oinas Devarim is very severe, even more severe than Oinas Mammon. God lo Oinas Devarim Oinas Mammon. Because by Oinas Devarim we have V'yiresim Elokecha. We don't have that expression by Oinas Mammon. So we see the Torah treats words more severely than financial dishonesties. Words are more impactful. Go deeper into this and have a stronger effect. Rabbi Lezer Omer, another reason why Oinas Devarim is higher on the ladder. Okay, he was cheated in commerce, it's just money. But this is personal, this is begufay. Rabbi Shmuel bar Nachmani Amar, another reason. Money, okay, you can always give back the money. Right? But words cannot be taken back. A person embarrasses a friend in public. It's as though he killed him. He responded, I agree. What you're saying is 100% right. This comparison between embarrassing and killing. Look what happens to the person when he gets embarrassed. He changes colors. The azal sumka, his red blood disappears. He turns white. And that's a form of killing. Right? What were they careful about? They were careful with this thing. Being sensitive to others. Not embarrassing somebody in public. Regarding embarrassing and turning faces white, basically, habanas panim. Everybody enters Gehenna except for 3 people. What do you mean? What is the Gemara? Everybody goes to Gehenna. What does that mean? Ella rally means like this. All those that for some reason will have to end up in Gehenna. They quickly get out of Gehenna. It's just a short-lived experience, except for 3 individuals. They go down there and it takes them a long time to get up, if at all. Who are these 3 people? Person gets involved with a married woman. And finally, a person chooses to call somebody with a silly nickname, which is embarrassing to the person. And that's terrible. Asks the Gemara, what do you mean? So you just repeated yourself. Mechana, Hanu Malbin. Well, that's just a form of embarrassing. So it's not 3 cases, it's 2. We're speaking that even if a person was dashbe, it's been threshed upon, which means to say he got used to it. It's been habitualized. This became his sort of his given name, this silly nickname. So he no longer really gets openly embarrassed from it, but it's, but when you call him, Rashi says, when you call him with this name to embarrass him, so although it does not really qualify from Malbim Pnei Chavei B'Ram, he's so used to it, it's not really, really going to embarrass him, but it still hurts him, it's not fair, and therefore belongs on the list. Okay, we'll continue as Hashem with the sugya tomorrow. In the meantime, we had the sugya of the Hegdash items being exempt from Dinei Shmira. We had a kasha from Mishnah and Shkolim. Why is it that the Shomer is responsible? We had several terutzim on that. We had Rosh Hashem's distinction between Karbonos De'Rochai Brachrayis, which has a personal element to it, in which case it's subject to standard halachis. We had Rabbi Yehuda's Chiddush. Some items are beyond Oinah because they're priceless, etc. And then we had the sugya extolling the virtues of one who is sensitive and careful in terms of verbal interactions. All the best to you, and Hatzlacha Rav.